Back Thresholds and Transits. My name is Megan. Today we are talking about the April 2026 reading for Libra rising. Libra is in the fourth house in the Thema Mundi, the house of home, foundation, and the private interior. Venus rules here. Libra rising people experience the self as relational, the self that emerges in and through response to the other. The wound that tends to be foundational for this placement is a home or a self that was built entirely on someone else's terms. So, welcome back to Thresholds and Transits. I'm Megan. I'm an astrology student. As I am learning about astrology, I'm sharing it with you, and I am having a blast. I'm so glad to be able to share it with you, and I'm so glad that you're here. We're doing April 2026 horoscopes. It's taking me a little bit to get through this. I have insane respect for the creators who are doing this day in and day out, year in and year out. I so much respect because it's taken me a minute. If you like my work and if you like how I work, you can go to my website, meganriley.eu, and there are offers and they are easy to find. This is a new website. So you can look for donation-based transit readings. Transits are readings that are based on what's happening in the sky right now, or we can look for favorable times in the future for something that you're working on. There's also, those are donation based. And then there is a sliding fee scale for natal chart readings, which is what was happening in the sky the moment that you took your first breath. I also have intuitive readings that are available. All of those are on the website. And if you have any questions, you can send me an email to megan@meganriley.eu. Okay. So this month has two dominant themes for you, Libras: significant professional opportunity, number one, and a partnership structure that can no longer pretend it is made of something sturdier than it really is. Both things are happening simultaneously, and this is what April is asking you to hold. So let's start with the good news because it's good. Jupiter, between 16 to 18 degrees in Cancer, is in your 10th house, the house of career, public reputation, and the face that you show the world professionally. Jupiter is happy in Cancer, exalted in Cancer, which means it is operating at full strength. It is not compromised. The greater benefic Cancer in the career house for you is one of the stronger signatures for professional growth and for opportunity that this planet offers in its 12-year cycle. Something in your professional life is being expanded. The question is, and this is the question Virginia Woolf raises in A Room of One's Own, is whether the expansion is actually yours. Libra rising people are skilled at building other people's success. You're so good at creating the conditions for other people to thrive, at making collaborative space function. But what does professional expansion look like when it's just for you? What are you building now that belongs to your own life? The 10th house opportunity is real, but across the chart from it in your 7th house, something maybe harder is happening. Saturn has been in Aries, your 7th house, since May of 2025, in and out, in and out. Now it's in for 2.5 years. Neptune has been conjunct Saturn through this period. The exact conjunction separating after February and March of 2026. Mars ingresses into Aries on April 12th, joining both of them in the partnership house. So Saturn in the 7th is weight on your closest relationships. Neptune in the 7th dissolves the architecture of those relationships, the agreements, the foundation, the clarity about what is actually there. When both of these planets are operating in the house of the other, what becomes visible is what the relationship is made of when the fog clears. And on April 19th, Mars and Saturn reach an exact conjunction in Aries in your 7th house. Less than half of a degree of separation between the two. And the two malefics in the partnership house, Mars and Saturn, contacts requires discipline in action. So don't take the bait. Don't be reactive. Whatever happens, do not take the bait, because decisions that are made on April 19th about your closest relationships need to come from a clear seeing, from a rooted sense, from down in your body, rather than the urgency of the moment or jumping into hyperbole because that's what we do when we are activated. You always do this kind of reaction. Wait, stop, breathe, and then move from there. Now, Chiron, 25 to 27 degrees in Aries, is also in your seventh. So you've been experiencing this for the last 7 years, the wound in partnership, the place where the closest relationship has been both the site of deepest intimacy for you and deepest cost. The sun conjuncts Chiron mid-April, and this wound surfaces directly in your relationships. So let's go back to Virginia Woolf, because I studied her for years in college, and it's finally paying off. So I use her a lot. I think that is relevant as well, in addition to just me trying to make use of my liberal arts education. A room of one's own is not only about women needing money and space to write. It is about what intellectual and creative life becomes possible when the relational structure is actually built on honest ground rather than just a pretty surface. The partnerships that are operating in your seventh house under this Saturn-Neptune-Mars pressure are the structures that either make room for your real life or don't. And April is the month when that clarity becomes harder to defer. Pluto is at 5 degrees of Aquarius in your fifth house, stationing retrograde in late April. The fifth house is the house of creativity and pleasure and erotic generativity and self-expression. Pluto stationing retrograde in the fifth turns the excavation inward. What creative or erotic force has been suppressed in you? What have you stopped making because it maybe felt a little dangerous? What pleasure have you made small in order just to keep the peace? Juno in Aquarius is conjunct Pluto in your fifth house all month. Juno in the fifth is the question of what you agreed to around pleasure and around creative expression. That was never really on equal terms. You just agreed to it. The erotic contract, the creative agreement, these are being rewritten under Plutonic conditions. And it's always easier if we do the rewriting rather than waiting for Pluto to do it for us. Sun square Pluto on April 26th creates a friction point between the fifth house, which is creativity, erotic life, and self-expression, and the 10th house, career and public reputation. What are you making in private is in tension with what the public world is asking of you. And the tension is productive if you name it. Uranus ingresses Gemini on April 26th, entering your ninth house. This begins a 7-year disruption of your philosophy and worldview and beliefs about how the world works. The worldview is about to be revolutionized for you. And then we go to the asteroids. Vesta is in Pisces in your sixth house, the sacred flame in the house of daily labor and health. What rituals are actually sustaining you, and which ones are compliance dressed up as devotion. Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius in your third house, Lilith in communication, the voice that was exiled for being too direct, too uncompromising, too philosophically demanding. Now, here are the questions for you, and these will be in the description box below. First, Jupiter's in your 10th house. So what does professional expansion look like when it is genuinely yours? Libra risings, you are often architects of other people's success. So what are you building for you? Second, Saturn, Neptune, and Mars are all in your 7th house. So what partnership structure was built on a foundation of fog? What have you been seeing clearly and choosing to see past? Third, Mars and Saturn exact conjunction hits your 7th house on April 19th. So where does the necessary confrontation live that you have been managing around instead of having the confrontation? And fourth, Pluto is stationing in your 5th house. So what have you stopped creating because creation felt dangerous? What erotic or generative force has been made small just to keep the peace. And fifth, Chiron is in your seventh house, where in your partnership history is the wound that you keep trying to heal by repeating the pattern that's coming up. So that's it. That's your April horoscope, Libra risings. The room of your own is not just a metaphor. It is what gets built when the foundation is finally honest. And that is happening for you. See you in the next one.